Today on This Week in Startups, Jay Rogers, the president, CEO, and co-founder of Local Motors, is in the studio. And outside we have the Rally Fighter, the first crowdsourced automobile. It is awesome. David Doral is on the phone line for another Ask Jason. And finally, Tyler is here in studio. He's back from his tour of Asia, and he is going to pick, along with me, the winner of the Doco contest. All that and more right now on This Week in Startups.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Yes, hello everybody. We're back for another This Week in Startups. I'm back in the studio, and more importantly, Tyler is back from his trip of Asia. How was it?
Wet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to check that off. Okay. It was in fact wet. Hey, we've got a lot of work to do. People are going crazy about the .co contest. .co, create your own opportunity.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that Mo was, Mo.
Yes.
Jason, Mo 3000 here. We need to do something for the sponsors that makes them happy. ROI is an important part of any marketing plan. We don't have ROI intrinsic inside of our product. What can we do? And so Tyler, of course, says, hey, it's an easy thing to do. Well, we'll create your own opportunity. Buy a .co domain name. Tell us what your idea is. We'll pick the best one and give you I don't know, what would people want? What does Tyler want? A MacBook Air. Everybody wants the MacBook Air. MacBook Air is like the hidden treasure inside of Apple, by the way. iPad 2, iPhone 4, MacBook Air, hoorah! It's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, it's incredible.
You can do anything on it. And
anything.
And it fits in your man bag.
And it fits in your man bag. Special message from Tyler Crowley. Okay, so we have the top 20 list here. I'm going to go through them, Tyler. You give me your reaction.
All right.
And here we go. Top 20 submissions. Fakegirlfriend.co. Like Tyler's Hey Sweetheart, which is already built. So fakegirlfriend.co.
Yeah, I built a site like that.
Yeah. Picturecord.co. Be reminded to take a picture of your kid every day. Site automatically tags photos with the child's age. Not built yet. Picturecord.co. I like that, actually. I actually like that. I'm going to put a little star next to that one. I just like that idea in general. Project Nautico.
No. I'm going by names.
Chip in to buy part of a real submarine and get access to it. Already built, 23% funded. I'm fascinated, but I don't need a real submarine. I love those kind of ideas. So we have to have an episode.
Only if it's fluorescent pink.
Absolutely. We have to have an episode of, but we have to do it totally straight.
Yes.
But of all the crazy, we have to have crazy entrepreneur
episode. Yeah.
The crazy entrepreneur episode. We just seek out those
Oh, I know a few.
Insane. I want to build a submarine. I want to build a ladder to the moon.
Yes.
I want to build
that we had
cars that run on air.
We had an airline one that was
awesome
for the ages.
We have to have crazy pitch show.
Yes.
All right, take a note, producer Kieran. Retwist.co, place for things related to the companies that appear on This Week in Startups. Already built. I like that. Goodbyecable.co organizes all your online entertainment services so you can easily find shows, movies. Petfirst.co, online first aid course for your pet. Interesting. Evac.co helps urban office folks plan how to escape. That's pretty good. Bat.co, BAAT.co, talk in Hindi. Yelp type service for Indian cities like Mumbai. I like that. Speedbump.co, teen driving safety product that allows parents to set speed limits according to road type. Built. Wow, I like that. Speedbump.co. So it'd actually be a device in the car.
It's a good name.
It's a really good name. I'm putting a star in there. Vaynerchuk.co, insights and video from Gary Vee's interview. Sportsthrowaways.co distributes unused sports promo items. It's interesting. IHateMy.co. Post your resume anonymously if you hate your company.
I like that.
I'm going to put 2 stars next to that one. I hate my co. That's interesting. Is an evil co. That's another good one. Aggregation of topics from Twitter API searches to spur discussions about companies doing good or evil. Interesting. I'll put a star next to that one. Codestam.co. Relational documentation for programming languages. Kidsafe.co. Private custom URLs written on clean clothing stores for your kids.
Why would you need to resort with a hyphen at this point?
Yeah, you don't need to put a hyphen in your .co. Chimpbay.co. eBay app that auto inserts MailChimp newsletter form sign-ups into eBay auction listings, Star, of course. Drivel.co, competitive crowdsourced topical blogging. Bloody.co, that's interesting. World premiere community for all things mixed martial arts, Star, winning. Alfers.co, find restaurants and bars where al fresco dining is available.
You could have got a better name than
You could have got a better name. I mean, I like the concept a lot. I love the idea of al fresco just being a portal for outside dining, because I am one of those folks. And the last one,
fresco.co?
needaho.co.
Star.
Really? I'm going to have one more conversation with the staff after the show about professionalism.
Yeah.
That is just non-professional. Okay, so let's go through here one more time. Picturecord.co, we like. Speedbump.co, I hate my co, is an evil co. Chimpbay.co, bloody.co.
Yeah, those are you and I picked exactly the same one.
Of course we
did. They're good names.
Good names and good ideas, both of those things. So what do you think? Did you have one you like, Jay? Before
I like the I hate my co.
You like I hate my co? Okay,
yeah, that just jumps out. It jumps out because it's the most clever use of
It is the most.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, it could be an anonymous posting board of just why you hate it.
Well, it's interesting because the job market now is so hot.
Yeah.
That
just why you hate your company. It could be why you hate your company, but...
you know what's clever about it is, I, as an employer, or somebody who's looking for somebody, these are good people because they're at a job currently. Yeah. They're not fired, they're not looking, right?
Yeah.
So they're already kind of qualified.
Yeah.
And
it teaches you what you should not do in your company, because you understand that person. If this person says, I hate my company because everybody...
Oh, that too.
Everybody's a workaholic. It's like, well, you're in the startup company.
Right.
But if I hate my co because everybody's, lame and leaves at 5 o'clock and nobody wants to get anything accomplished, well, that's the employee, team member you want.
Yeah.
So it actually could have a positive spin. Like, I hate my co. I could see that as a business-to-business service where,
oh, totally.
I email everybody on the team, tell us why you hate the company.
Right.
And let's fix those things, because we're all in it together. It could be sort of a collaborative thing. What do we all hate about it? It's like a mailbox to get better.
You could probably double dip on it and kind of sell data back to the company and be like, here's anonymous data about people at your company.
Yeah, and here's their IP address, and here's their email address, so you can go back and fire them.
5 ways to monetize,
Wow. So any other ones you like? Is that your favorite? Is that what you're saying?
I reach out for the ones that have clever use of the .co. That one really jumped out in that way.
It does. And what about the speedbump.co? Is that already up and running? Because I'm kind of liking that.
That's a great name.
It is.
Teen driving safety product.
It's the world's first smartphone app that keeps your kids safe on the road. I pulled it up on my screen here, gentlemen. That is so genius. I love that. So you have to use, you put your phone on because you're driving and it's doing...
the big day has arrived.
Oh, I don't want to listen to the whole thing, but that is an interesting concept, because I'm thinking about this myself. Like, why don't cars have a regulator in there that if you have a learner's permit, you put your learner's permit, like when you drive a car, why doesn't it have you put your driver's license into the car?
Right.
So you can't forget it. Like, it's like, oh, you put it in. Anyway, it's a little bit Orwellian, but anyway, let's say you're a kid. When you're a kid, you get into the car, you have to click a code, and you put in your code, it knows you're on a learner's permit because your parents programmed that in, if they were capable of programming stuff into the car.
Right.
And it doesn't let you drive above 65 miles an hour, and it doesn't let you, or for more than, 5 minutes or something. It definitely doesn't let you over 80, and it, I guess you got to trust your kids. I don't know. I'm dealing with. I'm 15 years away from dealing with this, and I'm already dealing with it. Well, you like I hate my co. I like the speedbump.co. I tell you what. Can I have 2 winners and then give the second place an iPad 2?
Shit, yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, now I got to pay $20.
You got to pay $20 in the box. That was 9 minutes into the program. Okay, so I say we give first place to I hate my co. I hate my.co. That is a genius name. Very good. Congratulations. And I'm going to give a special iPad 2 recognition out of Mo 3000's commission check to speedpump.co. Jason, I wish you had cleared that with me before. I mean, I'm trying to support the company, but it's not cheap living in Los Angeles. Okay, Jay, thank you for coming on the program. Thank you, .co, for sponsoring it. I was reading online, and I find out that somebody's building a crowdsourced car company.
That's right.
And I said, my God, this is such a genius idea. And I know people like used to modify their muscle cars, and then people have dreamed about making cars, but this idea of a collective making a car, when did you first have this idea, and at what stage is this insane project that you've started at today?
Well, I've loved cars all my life, but then again, what young boy in many ways doesn't? And so I think it's something that I always felt self-conscious about, like how could you get out and make cars a living because it's too much fun.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I got really inspired about is I was serving overseas in Iraq, and
Oh, really?
I was a
Green Beret, Marine? What are you?
infantry Marine.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And so I really got inspired about the fact that we spent a lot of time, especially in the armed forces, cleaning up or doing things in areas which are basically related to oil in one way or another. And I didn't have a political agenda other than to feel like there was an opportunity to do something about the crisis that we
Yeah.
had of fuel prices, the environment, whichever way you take it, there are many things that
as a
were wrong.
soldier, and you're over there, you're thinking about that, right?
All the time, yeah.
Right. I mean, you talk to a lot of soldiers, and they're like, I'm just doing my job, and but there's soldiers have brains. I mean, they're thinking about saying, hey, we're here, and they see the private contractors defending the oil wells. They know that this war, in some way, has to do with oil.
Well, I think that, I'll take a little issue with that from a point of view of the fact that oil is a very normal, natural thing. It's a very high energy dense source.
Yeah.
And I think that I would, go to the grave and say, we don't steal oil.
Right.
There's basically it is a hot commodity, and we
Right.
do our best to be able to make sure that everybody who's at the pump has access to it.
Right.
But we pay for it when we
Right.
do it. And we don't wage wars in order to be able to steal oil.
Right.
But what you do think about when you are in an oil-rich area of the world is you think about what is so important over here.
Right.
And one of the things that's frustrating to me is I wanted to do something about the biggest user, and the biggest user is us.
Right.
And not just America, but the developed world.
Right.
And so, but when I looked around, there really weren't that many people doing things about it.
Right.
So there was Tesla doing something about
Sure.
it, but Tesla didn't really make cars. They made a powertrain.
Right.
And so I thought, who is out there that's actually going to make a lightweight car that is going to be able to rapidly develop it and bring it to market and bring new technologies?
Sure.
And that's what really got me inspired to do
Interesting.
something.
And so you get back from your tour. You did one tour?
I was in the Marines for 7 years active duty.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how many tours was that?
So that was 2 overseas deployments.
Wow.
And a whole lot of other work and training
Yeah.
going on around
Well,
it.
thanks for the service.
Thank you.
It's so brave. So you come back and then you start a startup company, and the mission is to create what? Is it to
The
create?
mission is to create game-changing cars.
Game-changing cars.
Everybody's got to have a mission. We
Right.
learned it in the military. So ours is we will create game-changing cars with an unprecedented standard of customer service. That's
Okay,
our
I like it. And instead of hiring a smart designer and some technical people, you decide, let's have everybody go to a message board and prove how smart they are by vote and crowdsource it?
Yeah, so there are 2 big things in that you just asked. One is everybody thinks they're right in cars, whether you're a customer or engineer, designer.
Sure.
And so in some senses, if the wisdom of the crowds gets going because people like to be competitive, then it's perfect because everybody wants to say, no, my idea is even better than your idea.
Right.
So you can get the community going pretty well when it comes to cars.
Yeah.
But the other thing is you have to set it up such that you don't end up with a Homer mobile. And Homer Simpson was famous for making a car which had a burger, fryer on the back, or a kegerator and all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
And we don't do that. It's not a crowd-designed car. It is a car whose design came from the crowd.
Got
and
it.
that's a very different thing.
So there's a process that occurs. It's not like everybody is customizing the car to the nth degree, or you're taking an idea from everybody. It's almost like a process of vetting and iteration that
Yes.
occurs on a message board.
You got it.
And how did you recruit the first couple of people to come do this? Did you have to go to people who are in school? Did you go to schools? Did you go to people who are working at automotive companies and say, hey, or is it just people who've never designed a car? Who are the people who got involved?
We got really excited about cars, so we started to look and say, who else is excited about them? And when you go to engineers who have a really big part in making cars and you say, hey, give me an idea for something that's never been built before, a lot of the responses were, well, tell me what it needs to do. And so that didn't work very well. And then when we went to industrial designers, we said, give me an idea of something that would be really cool. And they just start like, blah, 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 blah,
Right.
letting it all come out.
Because they're dreamers.
Because they're dreamers. And
Right.
so we started with the dreamers.
And I noticed just tons of drawings and arranged people. How many drawings did you get, and how long did this process take before you built the first car?
Well, it took us a year before we decided to build the first car, so we let the community fulminate for a whole year before we got there.
Right.
And then now we have over 70,000 designs online, and when I say we have, our community lets people see. But it's all protected under Creative Commons, so it's their design
Right.
until somebody decides to build it.
So they are putting it out under Creative Commons. Which attribution license is it?
So we're doing
Non-commercial?
attribution, non-commercial, share alike.
So what that means is anybody can use those designs, but if you try to monetize them,
That's right.
then that's where you have to get permission.
You'd have to get permission.
Have to do a deal. So if I put my design up there, you can put it on your website, but you can't go build the car.
And you have to attribute it.
And
So
you have to
can-
attribute it.
Attribution, non-commercial, share alike.
Right.
Yep.
And so the people who are participating, their motivation is what?
Oh, well, so I'm good friends with the founders of Threadless, which is a t-shirt company,
Yeah.
and we were just actually reviewing this just the other day. They've had, I think it's now 8 years in the market, and we've only been around for 3.5. But what we shared with each other was people come not because of the money, not because of anything other than the fact that it's recognition. I'd say the money helps. We'll never not pay it when somebody wins, but I think that the recognition is a huge thing amongst your peers, amongst the customers you never knew,
Right.
amongst the people that you want to love the work that you did. That's why we're all here on Earth. We want to do something good and be recognized for it.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of recognition going on, because I see every time you post something, it seems like they get 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 comments.
That's right.
So you got some sort of critical mass, and I guess that helped because the recognition factor was there. But there was a prize for this first vehicle?
Definitely. So the winning designer of the Rally Fighter has taken home $20,000 in prizes from local motors. And so that's a non-insignificant piece of change for them to be able to have when the other options might have been no money or no car. My hope is that we will pay out much bigger prizes in the future.
So what's the business model here? Is the Rally Fighter going to become and we'll see it in a minute, but is the Rally Fighter going to become some car that Ford buys and makes $1 million of? Is it going to be a prototype? What happens as a business? Is there enough money here?
Chris Anderson, editor of Wired, he said it the best. He said, the car industry is like a glass full of rocks. And what that means is there's all this space around the rocks. And the rocks are the big car companies, the Fords, like you just mentioned. Local Motors is like pouring sand in that glass of rocks. So it basically fills the spaces that don't. So the business model is, we make cars that the big guys can't make because there's not enough of a market for them to make it.
Got it.
But we do it in a way where we know what's successful before we go out to make it. Our community came up with this idea, and it's just too much of a niche market for a big car company to go after.
Tell us the idea. What was the idea for the first? Because you want to do many vehicles, and you want to do game-changing vehicles.
That's right. With an unprecedented standard of customer service.
Right. What's game-changing about this vehicle, and what was the spec you put out to the community?
Okay, so when we went into this, the guy who designed it, Sangho, was looking for this box-ready, like bone stock out of the box. You come out and you can race the desert. You can do the Paris-Dakar Rally. You can go to Baja and you can do the 1000. You could go overlanding on the Yukon Highway at high speeds. Nobody had a car like this. We have SUVs, but we all know with our SUVs that they're more for suburbia than they are for actual off-road.
Right. If you took one of those into the sand in Iraq, it would not be pretty.
It would not be pretty. And so that's
Humvees have a hard time, right? I mean,
they do a lot, and part of that is because they're so heavy.
Right.
And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to make something which was purpose-built for his design.
Right.
And so that's where it all started. That was the niche.
So it wasn't trying to save gas. It was trying to make this off-road vehicle that could do the hardest work on the planet.
Well, this is where you get to actually choose as a company. So the answer is actually no to that question. We wanted to build the most sustainable car factory and line in the world. And so what that meant is, okay, people buy cars for lots of reasons. They buy them because they want to be fuel efficient, but if they wanted to just be fuel efficient, then Tesla wouldn't have made a Roadster its first car.
Right.
And so you combine a bunch of elements that make somebody take it. It's sort of like you can feed someone bad medicine when you're feeding them good medicine if you have a soul of what you want to do, but better would be to feed them all together. And environmentalists are sometimes the people that spend the most time in nature. And so these are the people that want to go out and use a vehicle like this. Don't give them something that is measured in gallons per mile instead of miles per gallon. So we wanted to make something lightweight, fuel efficient. There's no paint on this car. It is locally sourced from a point of view and put together. There are no effluents in the factory. So we really, I think, talked the talk.
So you made it a green car, but the gas mileage it's not an electric car, obviously, but the gas mileage is what? Is it?
So it's 20 miles per gallon on
Right.
this vehicle, and that's with an internal combustion engine. We have a diesel variant that we made, which should be closer to 30 miles per gallon. And remember, this is a vehicle whose competitors, if you will, get usually in the range of 5 to 7 miles per gallon.
Right. These are industrial vehicles, like military vehicles,
They are,
essentially.
right, exactly.
So we have a video. Let's play the video, and while we watch the video, you can see here on the courtesy monitor, just tell me about the vehicle.
Sure.
It's an awesome looking vehicle. I pulled the Tesla up to it today, and the Tesla disappeared behind it. But do we have the video, gentlemen? Here we go. Okay. So what are we seeing?
Wow, well, you're seeing a rally fighter making a pass at you, literally, and you're seeing probably one of the most exciting vinyl wraps. It's mine, so I'm
Right.
biased, of course, but
Yeah.
these are all designed in the community with us.
Right.
And that rally fighter is mine. I built it with my wife and kids, and you come to our factory and build it. That's what my family did.
That's part of the experience, right?
It is.
So I don't buy a kit from you. I buy a vacation where I go and build it.
It's the modern day trophy hunt. Yes.
Interesting. So what does that cost to build a car like that? What's the range? I mean, obviously.
59,000.
Okay, so it's more expensive than an average car, but not outrageous.
How expensive was the Tesla?
It was outrageous. So it's not like a supercar, you know, in terms of cost, but it is a stunning looking car.
Thank you.
And $60,000, and you build it with your team. So obviously, if I've never built something, you're going to put the bolt on, and then I do the final.
No, when you come in, you'll see the first thing that you're taught is how to assemble a bolt and a nut together.
Wow.
And we start right from the beginning. And you come out with an education and a car, and it's
Wow.
magic to watch. And
Yeah.
nobody can make a mistake in the factory, meaning that if you put a wrench down across the positive and negative terminals of the battery and a big spark happens, nobody laughs. Everybody just says, you know, we learn and we move on.
Oh, great. So how long does it take to build the average one?
We use 2 weekends to be able to put the car together with the customer, and then we do some of the work in between. But there's no sleight of hand here. Effectively, it's a 2-week build process, and we get you for 2 long weekends.
And what are we seeing there in the dashboard and everything?
So you're seeing the interior was designed by a Romanian gentleman named Mihai Panatescu, and Mihai came up with this fantastic design on the interior based on what the exterior of the car was.
And so where was he from?
Mihai's from Romania. And so he is one of our many community members, a fantastic designer. And this is the
Have
example.
you ever met
of-
him in person?
Never. Would love to.
You've never met him in person?
No.
So he designed the interior of your car.
Yes.
And have you ever spoken to him on the phone?
Yes, I've spoken to him
so
on the phone.
Like once or twice?
Once, twice, yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
So basically, he built your car,
Yeah,
the inside of your car.
Yeah.
Have you met the person who built the outside, the designer?
I have met him.
You have met him in
Wonderful guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, let's pause the video there for a second and look at some of the shots on my laptop here. The Rally Fighter just looks awesome.
Now that's owned by a pretty famous person,
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Hollywood director. But we have to be private about our customers' names. But
Oh.
really, he came and really enjoyed the experience with his kids. And I mean, wow, that's a beautiful car. And he designed that wrap that goes on the outside of the car. It's just an
Is
exceptional
that wait?
vehicle.
The wrap there is.
It's meant to be distressed metal, like sort
Oh,
of Road
wow.
Warrior, Mad
Oh,
Max kind
Mel
of a
Gibson,
thing.
awesome. Well, I mean, he's Mad Max, right? I mean, it looks like a Mad Max car.
Maybe, yeah.
And so, how many people have come and built the car?
We have about 11 cars finished right now, and we have
Wow.
another 6 that are on the factory floor getting ready to go out into the wild.
And let's see. So, where can I see the community on the?
Go to Co-Create Cars at the first link all the way on the left.
Yes.
And then go to Create It.
Got it.
That's the first thing in the drop-down menu.
Okay.
If your internet.
There we go. Created.
There
Okay.
we go.
So here is where the community
That's
hangs
right.
out.
This is where they hang out.
And we have all these different portfolios I see here. These are people who are pitching their cars, essentially?
Yep. So we give a couple different creative spaces. Portfolios are a place for people to come in and not get comments if they want to just be safe. It's like a safe zone. And checkup is where you're looking for comments.
Got
and then
it.
when we run a competition, when it's live, that is where you're going to get comments and you can win. So you're on the point.
So now you've already got another design competition going on for the XC2V.
Yeah, that's in development right now.
What is this? Oh my God, that looks like it's from Call of Duty or something like that.
This is really exciting.
This
So
is a military vehicle.
the U.S. government came to us and said, we love what you do, and the biggest problem in winning wars today and making mission is that it takes too long for us to get mission-critical vehicles out there.
Really?
And so basically they said, can you help us design and develop a vehicle quickly? And we said, sure. And so effectively what we're doing, we're working for the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency here. If you click that
DARPA?
top, yeah, if you click the top link.
Also
actually,
known as DARPA.
Also known as
Also
DARPA.
known as the people who created the internet.
Yes, there are some others that have claimed, but this is the one that actually did it. And the UAV and the GPS standard. What you're seeing here is actually the math that we're working on right now.
This is
for
CAD
tool.
drawings,
This
I
is
guess.
CAD drawings.
Wow.
And so this is what Local Motors is about. It's the real live stuff
Wow.
about what it takes to be able to make a vehicle. And you're seeing the whole process from a sketch on a piece of paper to the finished
Now,
vehicle.
wait a second. The military is going to build a vehicle that could possibly be deployed.
Yes.
That is built by some guy in Romania and this other guy in Texas and just all over the world.
You're right.
I mean, and people say the military is like so far behind or something like that, or we're not like advanced. I mean, this is the most advanced thing I can think that the military could do would be to crowdsource a vehicle and let a third-party company fabricate it to get it there.
That's right. I think basically we have a very bold DARPA at this point. The director of DARPA has a very bold vision about the fact that perhaps our greatest vulnerability is that we spend so much money to make military vehicles, and we do it, she says very clearly, I'm paraphrasing, is why is it that in corporate America we build and then sell, or build and then the customer buys?
Yeah.
And why is it in military that we buy and then somebody goes out and builds?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems
Backwards.
so wasteful, yeah.
It does.
And then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, this plane doesn't actually fly so well.
Yeah, well,
and
we're over budget or
and we're
out of
over
time
budget
and
by
that kind of thing.
4x.
But you're stuck with us.
Yeah, I mean, this could save a ton of money.
Exactly.
And you could get this vehicle done in under, I mean, you got the other vehicle done in a year, so I'm assuming a year. So that means they're putting up the prize money or the prize?
That's right. They're putting up the prize money, and they're doing it.
And what is the prize money?
And so the prize money went to, it's $10,000 of total prizes to the person who came up with the exterior design. And the first prize winner, a guy named Victor Garcia, he's already won, and so this is in development. He won $7,500 and the right to know that Victor Garcia designed this vehicle. And now this vehicle is not in production, and we would note that if this vehicle did go into production, that Victor would win more money. That's how we do it. So basically, if it's something where it is an idea that gets prototyped but not put into production, then there would be one amount of money, and then if somebody actually got a car in production, then it would be more.
Wow, and here you are actually making the models. Is that your company making the models?
Yeah, well, we have a number of subcontractors. We've got a great
it.
subcontractor, a number of them here in Southern California, actually, that helped us with those models.
Where's the gun turret? Where's the 50? Like
Great
because you know, when I was in,
Where's the 50?
when I did my tours, I manned the 50.
That's right.
And most people don't know that.
In Silicon Alley, that's
Yeah.
right. Because they're, you know,
no, I
they're
manned
going
the
down-
50. That's
So-
my favorite scene from Black Hawk Down.
That's right.
Man, that 50! Is that not the greatest movie ever?
It is great. There are many
I mean, is it
great ones.
accurate in your
I
experience?
think from an insurgency perspective,
Yeah.
absolutely. And tactically, it was a great, well-filmed
Man,
movie
that film is
about what it
awesome.
meant.
Whenever
Yeah, it's
I'm
really
like, want to get psyched, I watch that film.
good. Yeah.
I love that
I just
film.
watched
When
Band of
the-
Brothers.
I mean,
That's pretty good, too. I don't know
Yeah,
if
but
you've
when the
seen that.
snipers, when they say they're going to drop the snipers in, and they know they don't have reinforcements,
I
which
know.
basically means they're going on a suicide
It was
mission.
the ultimate sacrifice.
That was,
And they won the Medal of Honor for it.
incredible.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
they
it's a
should've.
true story, right?
Yeah,
People
it's
don't
great,
actually
yeah.
realize that. They think it's
Yeah.
a film, man.
So,
When I see
but-
that scene, I cry. I get all emotional.
You ask a great question, and I think
Deterrent,
you
right,
get
sorry.
emotional. You get emotional about it. The thing is that when you crowdsource a vehicle, you do it to a spec. And what
Yeah.
the military did is they came in and they said, we're not looking for a tank, and we're not looking for a fighting vehicle. We want something that is a combat resupply and evacuation vehicle. Give me something that's fast and nimble and can get 3 wounded soldiers out and get supplies into a platoon or squad size
So
outfit.
this actually, I mean, not to bring Black Hawk Down back into it, but in Black Hawk Down, they needed smaller vehicles to get people in and out. This
That's
would have been
right.
better because it would have been faster than the Humvees
That's right. There you go.
and more nimble.
That's right.
And do they have anything like this? They have Jeeps.
What they use actually right now is ATVs. And so, and ATVs are really not good for transporting a wounded person out because you can't really lay them across the saddle.
No,
and
I know
see
they
where go.
flip.
Yeah, they
Don't they-
flip.
they flip pretty easy.
And you can't go as fast as this vehicle can go.
This
so,
vehicle's gonna
you
go
know,
70
but-
miles an hour,
But
right?
oh, that could go 120 over rough terrain. So I think that the point is know what you're building a vehicle for and then do it.
And that thing, it looks like it's, I mean, really reinforced.
It can be. I guess the point is that it's modular. If you needed to put Kevlar in the skin, you could do it for pushing charges, or you needed to put plates, you could do it. But the point was not to build a tank.
Yeah.
It was to build a combat resupply and evacuation vehicle.
Now, are the person who now won these, the 2 individuals who won those designs, had they ever worked in the automotive industry before, do you know?
In fact, both of them work within the automotive industry,
So they were moonlighting.
if you will. Now, I think that basically what we recommend to our community members is if you are going to participate, check with your company to make sure that you're not competing with what your company does.
Sign a little waiver.
Yeah, we do not advocate that. And I think you'll find, I think I learned a lot going to, say, down here in Southern California, this beautiful school called Art Center College of Design.
Yeah.
Fantastic up
Amazing,
in Pasadena,
yeah.
and really some very hardworking students, all of them are. And unfortunately, a vast majority of the transportation design students don't have a job when they graduate.
Yeah.
There are many of them that are looking for that one plum job at Ferrari or GM's design studio or VW Potsdam, but it's hard to get the job. So it's nice to have an outlet to be able to work on things.
Okay, when we get back from the break, I want you to tell me about matching people who want custom cars with these sort of designers, because I've actually started getting pitched on people who are custom, they know I'm into cars, and they pitch me on, hey, I want to build this car, will you fund it?
Yeah.
This sort of crowdsourcing of stuff. And I want to thank Trada. Trada is a crowdsourced pay-per-click marketplace making online advertising easy for startups and entrepreneurs. Trada has more than 1,000 paid search experts who create all the keywords and the copy for your advertisements. Everybody knows there's like 2 or 3 different ways you can run a business. You can do SEO, see how that goes with the Panda update. Or you can do SEM, you can pay for traffic and then try to get them down the funnel and actually buy your product. And it works. SEM is how a lot of the biggest businesses like Amazon on the internet, eBay, were built. Most people don't know that. It's very complicated, it's hard to do, and there's very few people out there who know how to do it. Trada is crowdsourced SEM, search engine marketing. If you're a paid search expert and you want to put your skills to use, hey, maybe you're moonlighting, go to the Trada website and learn how you can earn extra income. Trada, they've been a great sponsor of the show, and I thank them for doing so. This is, I think, their 2nd time round, and they've just been incredible supporters. Using Trada for Squeal yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, but I can see it.
You can see it coming, though, for local businesses driving that funnel. Thank you to Trada. Everybody go thank Trada on their Twitter account. Thank you at Trada. So what about, is there becoming, is an economy emerging in your forums for these designers and hackers to sort of match with people who want to, what do they call it? I guess custom. You know, because you see these custom shows on, West Coast Customs and all this kind of stuff. Is this sort of bridging and merging with that phenomenon?
Here was the big surprise for us.
Yeah.
So when we started with a car we wanted to build. It was the Rally Fighter. And what we realized is that people were interested in all kinds of other things other than just that one project. And so there's an opportunity to be able to harness the energy of such a passionate community and be able to give them more projects to work on. So Reebok came to us and said, hey, we've got a shoe that we want to do, and we think that this community could do a really good job of it. Well, they did an incredible job of it, and Matthew Chodo, who won that competition, designed a shoe, and it was just an incredible design.
Wait a second. So you have all these amazing designers there,
Yeah.
and a shoe company comes in and says...
Want to see it?
Right here, Reebok, is that it? Tutorials?
Here, no, that's actually tutorials. So go to the co-create cars up at the beginning, and then go down to, go to community.
Community, okay.
I'm looking for, and you've got your forums. I'm just trying to find you the best picture you can see it. Oh, go to competitions. So if you go to co-create cars, create it.
Okay.
And then go to competitions in the top design competitions. You just had your right there.
There it is.
And then go down a little bit, and you'll see it right there.
Wow.
Reebok competition, top line, middle one, and you click that right there. Click the
There
shoe.
it is, okay.
And this young man, Matthew Chodo, came in and he designed so you want to go back. This is the competition describing it.
Yeah.
Go back, go back arrow.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you the winner. Click the actual picture of the shoe right underneath it.
There it is. Reebok Rally Fighter.
Yeah.
So it's related in some way to the Rally.
That was for fun. So
Yeah.
basically what happened was Reebok has this new sole called the Zig. And that's that funky sole you see there, really cool idea. And so they said, well, the Rally Fighter has got this really funky suspension. It's just this like hugely, exciting thing. Could you design a shoe that was based on the Zig that would be for a user of the Rally Fighter? So we had well over 120 entries, and basically it was this is what came out.
Does this mean you're going to rename the company to be just like design, collaborative, crowdsourced design, as opposed to just cars? Because it seems like the mandate. I mean, people here obviously could be designing lamps and iPad cases and everything.
We've got a pretty exciting evolution that's coming up this fall. And I think that you're knocking at the door of what's going on. This is an energetic community, and I think the key thing we wouldn't do is we're not going to start doing music, and we're not going to start doing code.
Right.
We're going to stick to things that need to be built.
So you'll leave Elance and those kind of Guru and those sites, 99 Designs, those things are all good. You're not going to compete with them. You want to actually do things that have to be fabricated and made.
Things that have to be fabricated and made.
Yeah,
That's exactly
that's
right.
awesome. Now, what is the business of this? I mean, obviously, Reebok paid some fee, I'm sure, decent fee, and the government paid you some decent fee to run these contests.
Sure.
Is that enough to maintain the company, or is it?
We think so.
Yeah.
So basically what happens is, if you look at the engineering communities in a company, if you look at the subsector of a company that does engineering, take a big car company, for example. This is an $80 billion a year market. This is a huge market for them because they have to design things that are solutions to get their product out to market. And when you have a whole community that wants to be able to help in those design solutions, you can really do something amazing. Let me show you something else.
Yeah,
go down a little bit.
Yeah.
And you'll keep coming down a little bit more. Say past component competitions right there.
Components.
Yeah.
Now this isn't
So
cars, it's components.
Take the one on the left that's got a white box and hit that winning one. Okay, we went out and we said the Rally Fighter needs a sill plate, which is when you step in.
The door plate.
The door plate, yeah. And it's a cool part of the car, right?
Yeah, and the Tesla's got one that's really like the signature 100 because they bought one of the first cars. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what we said is, here's the CAD of that. We'd like to put this out to competition for somebody to design the door plate and give us the tooling solution so that we can cut it right away. And that's exactly what happened.
Wow, so not only you had the design, you wanted the process to
I wanted
make it.
the full tooled solution.
Wow.
Material thickness, engineering instructions, tool cutting instructions, fastening instructions, everything. And this gentleman who won it, Anthony Franz, he is from Australia.
I see, and
met him
here's
again.
here's their profile.
Yep, and basically he was just totally stoked about the idea of winning this. And you can see he's an industrial designer, but he gave us an engineering drawing. That was an engineered file to be able to win that that process.
Yeah.
And he hadn't taken a first place at Local Motors before. So you see his name is in red?
Yeah.
That means he's a winner.
Ah.
That means
Status.
Status, and it's a big deal. And he deserved it. He won.
Look here, he's actually got the, what is the name of the military vehicle again?
So he was one of the competitors. He didn't win, but
Right.
that's his design for
I know,
it. It's
but-
called the XC2V.
What does that mean?
The military made up the name. It's the experimental.
Clearly.
Yeah, exactly. It's the experimental crowdsourced competition vehicle.
Why am I so excited about this? It's just so awesome. Look at this. He made the Medevac version and actually did the layout and the various views and cutouts of how you would actually lay people in it.
I'll do you one better. You can't even enter the competition with an entry until you do that. So every single person that entered that competition had to do the same thing.
Wow.
This means that so that you asked me about 99 Designs and some of the other companies that are out there.
Yeah.
We're crowdsourcing things where the solution has a much higher standard in terms of being able to be meaningful to people.
Yeah.
It's something that's got to work. It's got to fit. It's got to be manufacturable.
Wow. And what is this design? That's beautiful too. Wow. I mean,
That's a
people
portfolio entry. So what
Yeah.
you'll see there is, we mentioned earlier, there's an opportunity for people to be able to have a portfolio entry.
That looks awesome. That's sort of like between the Rally Fighter and the X2.
That's right.
It's somewhere in between. Am I going to be able to get that X2? Are you going to actually make that if the military makes
That'll
it?
be owned by DARPA, so you'd have to speak to them if you wanted to get it.
Really? They will own the rights to it.
That's right.
But whoever wins it, if I remember correctly, gets a kicker.
That's correct, if they put it into production.
So how big is the company? Is it just you and like a couple of guys in a garage?
There
or?
are 20 of us.
20?
Yeah, there are 20 of us.
Wow.
And so that's really, so you get another great picture. That's another, that's a professional graphic designer out of London, Mark Ely, at a company called Ely Kishimoto. And he designed that for a Rally Fighter. And that's actually our head of sales. That's the one she drives around. So pretty exciting.
It's crazy. And like I saw there were videos online on Autoblog of the Rally Fighter jumping. It can actually leap.
Yeah. So this is the thing that the CEO does. You make a car that can jump. Who's going to test it first?
Co-founder.
Yeah, co-founder. Exactly.
Co-founder.
There you go. So anyway, I took it out there first. We go about between 10 and 14 feet in the air and land on pavement and keep on trucking.
Wow. And here's here's some photos of people building actually in the
microfactory.
In the microfactory.
Yeah.
How do you deal with this is from superfan Sean. How do you deal with the street legal nature of the car?
Good question. So I think that effectively in America today, we have this thing called the Department of Transportation. And the Department of Transportation is there to protect us from ourselves. They make sure that the things that go on the road and the way the roads are built are safe.
Right.
They have thankfully left open the possibility that if you make your own car, you should have the right to be able to drive it. And so this is what we do. Customers make their own car and they register them as a specialty constructed vehicle. That is how you register the vehicle.
Thus the reason you have to have the experience.
That's right.
Yeah. So I couldn't buy one of these from you? I couldn't just say, hey, you build it for me.
You could buy it from someone that built it if you wanted to do that, but you could
that
not
person
buy
would
it
then
from
have the
us.
liability. That person would have the liability.
That's
who
right.
Sold it to you.
That's right.
And that's really the issue. And
that's the issue in the world today.
Yeah.
I think we need to take more control over the things that we use and do, and we need to grow up and make sure that if we're going to buy something, we know what it is that we're buying.
Yeah. Wow. Taking control of your own life. My God, it's so un-American. Really? I thought that the government was supposed to take care of me and change my diaper every day. It's so ridiculous. Another question, M. Press Me asks, are there any prerequisites needed prior to becoming part of a car building project? Like, can a novice participate? Like, do you have any vetting process? Do I have to have a degree in design, or I just have to have a design?
If Impress Me was asking to come build a car, to come part of that, there are no prerequisites.
Right, you can go build.
We train, you can go build, and then to be part of it, the prerequisite is, can you impress your fellow community members? And so that's really what it is.
The benchmark is the community.
That's right, the benchmark is the community. We don't pass judgment and say you can or cannot be part of it.
As this community gets more and more sort of locked in and defining itself, does that mean it's going to sort of steer in a certain direction and maybe not be open to some other ideas? How do you deal with that?
There's a great man, Doug Levin, who started a company called Black Duck Software, which basically manages open source. And he told me many years ago when I was starting this company, he said, remember, just because it's open doesn't mean that you let the crowd rule the company.
Right.
He said you have to guide the direction.
Right.
And so I think that basically we started a car that was co-created or crowdsourced, if you will, and then we left all the data open so that people could come in and mod their car. It's the most moddable car in the world. You want any of the CAD data, any of the parts that we put on it, any of the build instructions, it's all there for you.
Right.
We will never step aside and let that become closed.
Right.
So that's where we manage the process.
What if I wanted a car that got 100 miles to the gallon or something like that? Could I do a design contest for that?
Sure, absolutely. And I think that, this is where Peter Diamandis, a brave person who started the idea of crowd-based or philanthropy-based contests that are philanthropy, crowds, and prize-driven philanthropy, I think is what
prize-driven, some buzzword.
And so, in any case, he's done this. He said, put a man in space for $10 million.
Right.
Make a car that goes 100 miles gets 100 miles per gallon and wins a race across America. For me, I was really inspired by that, but what I wanted those cars to actually be built.
Right.
And so, Peter's foundation inspires people to do things, but then somebody has to commercialize it.
Right.
And so we're sort of doing it all the day, every day, all the way along.
So what do you think is a realistic goal? Like if we did a contest, could we get one to, 60 or 70 or 80?
I think Peter proved you can get it to 100.
Right.
I think
and actually get built.
And actually get built.
Because you talked before about, hey, listen, if you want people to eat the spinach, you got to put a little olive oil and salt on it.
That's right.
So what's the olive oil and salt compromise here?
So look, the car that won is an extremely lightweight car, and it has an internal combustion engine. Actually, it beat all the electric cars, it beat everybody else, and it got more than 100 miles per gallon. That's a car that might be hard to sell to people because for safety reasons and for other things about it, it might be uncomfortable. So when you start to compromise, you're generally adding weight. And when you add weight, you're going to add safety to some degree, but really adding size is what adds safety because you get more of a crumple zone around you. And that tends to add weight. Weight in and of itself is not that helpful. So I think what you're saying is if we wanted to crowdsource a car that could be sold and you have a niche that cares about it greatly, maybe you could get a car out there today that would do 100 miles per gallon if it was in a niche. If it's for all of us today, then I think you're going to end up being compromised greatly. I mean, electric is the way to go to get the miles per gallon up, but then you're range constrained. Right. And so, those are the trade-offs.
Right. So are you thinking about doing some sort of a project like a 60 mile per gallon car?
We'd like to do an electric vehicle. We're really inspired about it because we think that there's an opportunity to really make a difference in this space, and we've seen some other people come along. You drive one of them.
Yeah, I drive a Tesla,
and so effectively we think there's a great opportunity here.
So if you did make a crowdsourced one, how would it differ from what Tesla's already got planned? I mean, is it necessary in that case? I mean, you have hundreds of millions of dollars being pumped into Tesla, and I guess Fisker got a big loan. So is that a case where the market has sort of already solve the problem?
Oh, but God, no. So what the best estimates in the world right now are that by 2020, there will be 3 million electric vehicles on the road. That is 0.001% of the number of vehicles that are out there. So globally. So if we're going to change the face of transportation, and we said we were going to make game-changing vehicles, I think that there's a responsibility to be able to do something.
And if I ask you, what is that game-changing vehicle in electric, you say, ask the crowd.
Yes, and I actually
you don't know.
I actually don't think it's about it being electric alone. I think it's about where does it function, what does it do. Tesla made a choice, for example. They said, I'm going to make a 2-seat Roadster.
Right.
And then
for the first one,
and Lotus is going to make it for us, and then I'm going to install a powertrain in it. And it was a modified design, but it was effectively done by Lotus. There was no secret there.
Yeah.
And then they've come out and they're going to do a new vehicle, a Model S. Well, those are only 2 vehicles, and in fact, they're really not going to make the Roadster, I think, for that much longer. I think.
Yeah, this one's going to retire, and then they're going to do the 3rd generation car, the smaller one. Then they're going to reintroduce a sports car.
So let me tell you about then and then and then. The truth, the ugly truth of the automotive industry is that when you do it that way, we're talking about over $1 billion of investment per model. That means that you're not going to make a small number of them. You're going to make a lot of them to be able to make money, or else
you have to scale.
Otherwise, you're called an unprofitable company.
Gotcha.
And so the way we go about it by crowdsourcing the vehicle and doing it is we're saving a lot of money when we go through, and that allows us to keep the volume small and keep the cars special.
Another way you're going to be able to save money is GoToMeeting, right, Tyler? Tyler's in a GoToMeeting right now. It's the easiest way to hold unlimited meetings, all for one flat fee. Collaborate with remote colleagues by attending meetings from your computer or iPad. Head to GoToMeeting and use the promo code START for a free 30-day trial. Of course, we're doing the GoToMeeting contest. Forward your receipt, or it's not even a receipt, I guess it's just your confirmation email to contests@thisweekend.com. And if we select you as the winner, we're going to have you do a private 30-minute consultation with Tyler and myself about your company and your hopes and your dreams. And then we will republish that to the This Weekend audience on the Twist feed. Thank you to @GoToMeeting for making life easy. I was just on a GoToMeeting yesterday because we were doing an angel investing call, and they were showing me a really cool product. I use it all the time.
I use it at work.
Oh, really? You're a GoTo.
Yeah.
Do they use that in the military?
I don't know.
Have you done any GoTo meetings?
No, not in the military. Not in the military. I've done plenty of GoTo meetings, though.
Got a lot of military questions. So you were in Iraq, not Afghanistan.
I was in Iraq,
Do you get to keep your knife?
Your K-bar in the Marine Corps? Yeah, you're issued a K-bar, and when you start, and you probably will buy many before you leave. So whether you're keeping the one you were issued or whether you're keeping one that you bought afterward, you'll come home with a knife.
I had a fan who watches This Week in Startups when he was overseas. He sent me his K-bar.
Wow.
That was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Taliban blood on it. It was in Afghanistan. Told me a couple Taliban with it.
Yeah.
That last part I made up.
Yeah.
But I wish it was true. I wish it was true. Yeah. Let's take a question from the audience. Let's do an Ask Jason. Do we have our caller? David, are you there?
Hey, Jason, how are you doing?
Good. You've been listening to this awesome conversation about crowdsourced vehicles?
I have. It's awesome. I want one.
I want one too. It's so awesome. But I want the military one with those angled windows, the fly windows. That looks dope. I want to take that. Because when the zombie apocalypse happens, that's the car you want.
That's the one to have.
Or actually, the Rally Fighter would be pretty good in the zombie apocalypse. True. The reason I like this Tesla in the zombie apocalypse is because A, it has a hardtop, right? And it's got the low hood, so you're going to take a lot of those zombies out at the calf, below the knee, which is preferable with zombies.
Right.
And additionally, I could solar power that puppy. So that's going to be in my zombie movie. Everybody's going to be driving Teslas. That's going to be the sought after car. David, you have a question about zombies or startups? Which one?
I'm going to go startups this time.
Okay, startups this time. Let's hear your question.
All right. My business will collect some interesting information about our users. For example, shoe size, the kids' shoe sizes, their favorite color, dad's car make examples, and purely for their own convenience. My question is, I have a we never share policy, and I would never break it. But what I want to ask you is, am I a total ass monkey for considering that this information, this database that I'm building, will add to my company's value in the eyes of a future acquirer? And are they required to honor my privacy policy? And if I ask them to honor my policy, is that a deal breaker?
Okay. So this is an awesome question. And I actually have a little bit of experience in it because I remember when I was at AOL and some other companies had gone out of business, this had come up. And I actually didn't know this question was going to be asked, so I don't have all the exact details. I'll ask some folks to pull it up, Kieran maybe or Tyler. There have been cases in bankruptcy where a judge has said, and I believe this to be true, and we'll check, the assets of the company and the privacy policy that you've established now in bankruptcy, that is not as important as getting the creditors paid. So in a situation like bankruptcy even, they don't have to respect it, or they could change it, and all these things can happen. So one of the ways to protect against that is to only keep a certain amount of data. Data people would not feel bad if it was released. I don't think anybody's going to care about their shoe size being released. Maybe some women are sensitive about that, maybe. But anyway, it's not like you've got something really mission critical there with the shoe size. That being said, when you sell your company, you can negotiate these terms. Hey, the user data I'm concerned about, I want to make sure you adopt this. And in the case of Weblogs Inc., when we sold to AOL, my concern was, hey, the bloggers. I want to make sure the bloggers remain unedited. I want to make sure the bloggers retain ownership of their words. So we actually made a contract with them during and after the acquisition, and we had sort of a sort of letter agreement in terms as to what we wanted to happen. So yes, you can protect it in the terms of an asset sale, and it can have value. The most important thing is that you're clear with people in your terms of service in plain English as to what you're saving and what you're not saving, and just being totally clear. Like, hey, we know your IP address. We don't know your IP address. We know your shoe size. We don't know this. And if you feel uncomfortable on a personal level keeping something, you can always toss the data. You can tell them we keep it for X number of days, and then we toss it, which is what companies in France are actually required to do. They're required to get rid of their phone data and cellular data. I think they're not even allowed to keep it after 90 days or something like that. Is that helpful, David?
Well, it is to a point. Yeah, I'm trying to capitalize on one of the facets of human nature where people will pretty much, they love to talk about themselves, and they'll answer any question you ask them.
Right.
So if someone was to use my service to buy a pair of shoes, we'll say, we see you bought some shoes. Do you have any kids? Well, yes, I do.
Yeah.
What size shoes do they wear? So we'll just be sucking up information.
Yeah.
And I just worry about selling it because I cannot delete it because it will ultimately end up being the core of my business.
I mean, and then that comes to an ethical question as an entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur and you have the opportunity to sell, you have to look at who you're selling to. If you're selling to somebody who you don't trust, you shouldn't make the sale. I mean, when I had the choice to sell Weblogs Inc. to AOL, I knew Ted Leonsis there. I knew I would be taken care of. I knew they had a good track record. I knew they wouldn't do something stupid. There's something that, they wouldn't embarrass me. I mean, and if you look, they generally have it. I mean, even when they've shut down some blogs recently, they've done it somewhat graciously, I think. They gave the people a lot of notice. I mean, it's sad when it happened, but so that's another issue for entrepreneurs to deal with beyond the privacy policy is when you sell your company, you're selling a piece of yourself, you're selling a piece of your reputation. You gotta think about that when you do sell. What do you think? You listen to all this?
Sure. I mean, I think that basically it's one of the things that I think a lot of the people out there that are listening may not even think about or know that, when you pass it along to somebody else, you are passing along the mantle. And we as a community-based company, and I think, for you out there who are doing it, you're tapping a community with the shoe sizes and all of the information you're taking them, and they're trusting. They answer questions because they feel committed to you in some way. Yeah. And so you need to think about them. They're a stakeholder, and I think that the concern is a good one because it could happen. And
you got to think about, as Gary Vaynerchuk would say, your legacy. Make sure you're thinking about yourself, your reputation, and your legacy. You don't want your legacy to be you sold all this information to somebody who then spammed them or did something like that. So if you can put that in the contracts on sale, and you can put that in your terms of service, and just things like having everything be Creative Commons. I mean, you had Oracle buy Sun, which had OpenOffice. And because OpenOffice was an open source community,
MySQL or OpenOffice?
They bought MySQL was part of Open. Yeah, thank you. So when they bought MySQL, they got OpenOffice.
Yep.
OpenOffice recently got shut down by Oracle because the community left and forked it because they said, we don't want to be part of Oracle. And so there was this great safeguard, which was, hey, we're out. It's open source. We're going to fork. And if you don't have us, you don't have anything. So OpenOffice dies and something else is born on the fork. So the open source code and concepts and Creative Commons concepts. Those things are these great stopgaps against bad corporate behavior.
True.
Tyler.
Yeah, so I found a relevant article, and it's from 2011. And if you want to see it, you can go to bit.ly, bit.ly/twist-policy. And it's about a gay website called XY Magazine. And it's quite lengthy, but at the end of it, it says, lessons learned. First, it's important to draft policies with an eye towards the future. Privacy policies should, for example, expressly allow for the transfer of personal information in appropriate circumstances, such as in connection with the sale of other assets of the business.
What does that exactly mean?
That means you should kind of state in your terms that when this company gets sold, we might have to turn it over.
Ah, got it. So they put that in the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what this gentleman, he's an attorney.
I wish people would just, it's going to take a lot of, now that everything's in the cloud, it's going to be a lot of pain and suffering for people as these data compromises happens, as the BP oil spill of data, Exxon Valdez of data happen. And we really haven't had an Exxon Valdez, or is it Valdez or Valdez?
I've heard it both.
Yeah, okay. Tomato, tomato. As the BP oil spill, which will eventually happen, of, online, at some point somebody will hack Gmail and everybody's Gmail will be exposed. Everybody's, or everybody's Facebook site messages will be, something's going to happen on a grand scale, and then that's when people are going to say, you know what, maybe I should put this stuff on my... I've been thinking about that with Gmail, because people seem to be getting hacked on Gmail all the time. I was like, I wonder how secure Gmail is. Why don't they offer like an RSA?
They do.
Oh, like one of those little codes where you have to put in the code?
They give you an iPhone app to do exactly that. You get a code, so when you log into Gmail, you have to use the code.
What?
Yeah, Gmail Authenticator, Google Authenticator.
When did that come out?
A couple weeks ago.
Free?
Yeah.
God, I love that company. I mean, I love the company. I'd be honest with the search stuff in Mahalo.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit.
I got it on my phone right here.
I'm very happy with that. Hey, everybody. I'm going to be speaking at the Read Write Web. Read Write Web, which is a great blog. You read that ever?
I have.
Great blog. And hey, it's going to be me and my pal Nick Denton, the founder of Gawker. We're going to have a gentleman's throwdown, as they call it. It's just a little debate. And you might want to go to that June 13th and 14th. And if you do, you can get $100 off the ticket price by using the code THROWDOWN. Throwdown. And thanks to the folks from Read Write Web for having me at the summit. That was very nice of them to invite me. And I try to do 3 or 4 speaking gigs a year. And I try to support each publication that I read and I respect. And Read Write Web is one of those that I really like. And I want to support them. And hopefully they can make a go of it with their events. Hey, another announcement. Can you imagine how many announcements there are on the show? It's so embarrassing. It's ridiculous. The show is beginning. This is what happens when you have too much of a community. You have too many people who have to be addressed here. We've started a new program. It's called the Twist Producer Program. And if you go to twistlist.co, you can, and I got this idea from Adam Curry. We're going to build a new studio. It's either going to be here in Santa Monica or possibly Culver City. We're looking at some space. I don't know if you heard about that, Tyler, but I'm looking at some space in Culver City, 20,000 square feet for Mahalo and this weekend and everything. It's going to cost like $50,000 to build a new studio and get the new TriCaster 850 and some other stuff we want to get. So if you go to twistlist.co, you can become an executive producer or associate producer or supporter of the show for $5, $10, $25, or $50 a month. What do you get for that? You're going to get your name at the end of the show in the title cards. You'll literally be the executive producer. It's pretty cool, right?
Per episode or for every episode?
For the year.
Oh, wow.
For as long as you're paying it. So it's like if you pay the $50 a month,
you could leverage that into a career in web video.
Absolutely. You could basically say, like, I produced Jason's show. It's pretty funny, actually. That's awesome. And it was Adam Curry's idea. I saw him doing it on his No Agenda show, which is awesome in conspiracy theories. And I love Adam. And he was on the show. He was a great guest. So go ahead and check out twistlist.co. If you're one of those producers, you'll be on the secret mailing list that we're starting. Not so secret anymore. But you and I and Kieran and the other people on the show, we're going to be on the secret mailing list to discuss it. And you'll be able to come to the private monthly show where we just talk about what's going on with the show, what's going on next month, and planning. And so actually, we're going to try to let people produce a little bit and say, hey, here's my suggestions. Try to crowdsource the community a little bit. The advertising is great on the show, but we want to, spruce the place up a little bit. So go check that out, twistless.co. And I think I heard those angel bells go off. Did I hear angel bells? Oh, what was that? Every time you hear that sound during the show, that means somebody has signed up. And John Rowe of Six Labs Inc. in Canada, congratulations, you're the first person to sign up as a producer. John Rowe, Six Labs Inc. in Canada. And of course, if you sign up, we're going to read your name on the show, and you'll get it in the final thing. What is the company venture-backed?
The company is angel-backed.
Angel-backed?
Yeah.
How long has this been going on now? 2 years? 3 years?
4 years.
4 years?
Yeah.
Who are the angels? Anybody of note that we
So
know?
there are 45 of them, and they're pretty...
45?
45. And so this is the secret in America today.
You crowdsource your angel funding.
That's right. People talk about, oh, we got to get our mojo back in America, and China's eating our lunch. And the fact is, I've been pretty disappointed that and it's probably as a result of the recession, that startup capital for manufacturing businesses is very hard to find.
Yeah.
And because VCs aren't really well suited to do that kind of investing. There are a few.
They need a bigger return, yeah.
They need there can be a big return. It's that we haven't manufactured a lot in the startup area for a long time.
So we don't have any evidence.
We don't have any evidence, exactly. So it's
Cisco,
up to us.
Hello.
Yeah, it's up to us to be able to prove it.
I mean, do you use Cisco? Like, hey, by the way, look at these routers that Cisco sells for $250,000.
Yeah, look at Intel. Look at the other things.
Intel makes chips.
Yeah,
yes.
so there are fabs and there are foundries that have been set up, and so we're looking to do that. But the way we started was a great group of angels, and they are really, I think, some of the greatest patriots in the world because they're trying to make this happen in America.
And there's enough. And is the business really the margin of selling those cars and the experience, or the contests?
I think in the end, the profit will come more from the, depends on what year you're talking about.
Yeah.
In years 1 through 10, the profit's going to come more through the contests.
Right.
In the future, from a point of view of lasting business, I think making the cars will have a greater legacy.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
You could license the cars and somebody else would make them at
That's
scale,
right.
maybe? Yeah.
And the truth is, too, when you talk about making a community that'll run these competitions and come in and engage, they come because we make cars.
Yeah.
That's why they're there.
Yeah, no, I mean, people look at, like, our caller, he's just like, I want one.
Yeah.
With the rally, has any car company actually been interested in making it, or sort of like knocking on the door? Because I could see Jeep. It feels like a Jeep to me.
We haven't had that, but what we have seen is if you look at the design of several vehicles that are out there right now,
the BMW, there's one.
We see design being influenced by the Rally Fighter, and so that is a very interesting thing.
Which one? That new BMW that looks like it? It's got
I think that
big
it's up to your imagination as to what you would see, and I'm not going to make any prognostications.
Oh, come on!
No,
you got to tell us which one is it. I know there's the BMW that road thing. What is that? What is it called?
I don't know which one we're talking about. Which actual BMW?
What else looks like? Somebody in the chat room. What does this car look like? We'll have to play 20 questions now. What does the car look like? What do you think, Tyler? What car does that look like?
While they're thinking about it, what I'm thinking more about is not cars that were built before the Rally Fighter that would be derivative from us, but I'm thinking about, informing design space going forward.
So maybe a prototype.
That's right.
So somebody's got to look at the prototypes that are coming out. Oh, maybe there's a Mini Cooper or something. And, I did see one that looked like this. But I think that there's a BMW that is, hunched up and, big.
Maybe the X6, I think that's out there.
Yeah, I think it's the BMW X6.
Yeah, the X6.
I mean, let me take a look at that. I bet you
that's the one you're thinking of.
Yeah, because somebody came here with it. They said it wasn't selling because BMW owners are not like into this off-roading stuff, but it's
well, that's a really good point. You have to know your community before you make a vehicle.
This is, it's so obvious Jeep should do this. Or remember Jeep Eagle? There was an Eagle brand.
The Talon, yeah.
The Talon. It's got a little bit like the Talon.
Subaru should do it.
Subaru would be a perfect one.
We hope very much that people will not just with the Rally Fighter, but they'll take notice of the fact that you can really tap into what people are thinking about because our community is a fantastic community.
Yeah, there's the Eagle Talon before it was, I guess Eagle went away. Eagle Talon was a cool looking car at the time.
I think the Eagle brand was originally part of the American Motor Cars Jeep Enterprise, the whole thing.
Interesting. Continued success with it. We're fascinated. I don't know if my wife will let me get the Rally, but I definitely going to get that.
I have 3 little boys, and my wife has said it's okay to put them in the back, so, I'll let you know.
Is there a back seat in it?
There is. There is a back seat.
I'm going to go for a ride in it with you. The X2.
The XC2V.
XC2. That's what I want. I want a military vehicle.
I'll put a word in with DARPA.
Put a word in with DARPA. Tell them I'll be a good customer.
Okay.
I want the Kevlar. I want to have the plate underneath for the IEDs.
Yep.
You ever been in a situation with one of those?
I've never been blown up by an IED.
Well, not that, but I mean, have you been on the
Oh, no,
road
there
when one's
lots of
gone
people-
off or something?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's gonna be scary as hell, man.
Yeah, it's a really frightening thing.
that
I'll
the
tell you, a real shout out to all
Yeah.
of our soldiers and men and women who are in armed services overseas or here, because they're doing the bravest job ever out there.
Yeah, it's
And
amazing.
I can't say enough good things about
What's-
what that trains you to do,
Yeah.
and also the sacrifice that you make when you
What's
do. We have
the
an all volunteer service.
I know, it's crazy.
Isn't it amazing.
It's amazing.
People volunteer to do this stuff.
Yeah.
It's humbling.
What's the scariest experience that you had?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the scariest, it goes on and on. The first time I think I was ever put into a combat zone, I was just really excited, thrilled, nervous, and scared.
Yeah.
And to me, that was the scariest time, because the plane that landed before me, a guy got shot up through the back and killed in the plane.
Whoa.
And so, you're thinking about, what could this happen to me? And then after that, you get a sense, for me at least, you get a sense of calm that's punctuated by all kinds of fear, depending upon whatever the individual thing is that you're doing. Going on patrol, rolling down a road where there are lots of
So there's
IEDs.
there's a certain zen of like, okay, this is my job, but then there's this situation requires alertness for these reasons.
It's the Stockdale paradox. Do you ever hear about that?
No, what is that?
So Admiral Stockdale, he once ran for vice president with Ross Perot, but was more famous for having been a long-standing prisoner of war in Vietnam. And what he said was, the paradox was, when I was in prison and I was being tortured, the people who died first were the optimists, because they thought they were going to get out, and when they didn't, they died of despair. The next people who died were the pessimists, who said, I'm never going to get out. So they were resigned to it, but then they lost hope completely. And he said, I lived with this thing that every day I was able to have two minds. I knew that I might get out, and that gave me hope, but I never got so hopeful that when it got time to be tortured every day, that I couldn't deal with the reality of the fact that I was about to get tortured, and then I was being tortured.
Right.
And that's what it takes to be able to do your job in the military, is to be able to live that life of, I'm going to go back to a normal life someday, especially a military that's in combat. But this day, that's not what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing something that's really dangerous. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but it's my job. And living that Stockdale paradox is really, I think,
was that in
an amazing thing.
What was the movie that Catherine Bigelow did about the bomb guy?
Oh yeah, about the EOD techs. The
Hurt Locker.
Yeah, Hurt Locker. Great.
Is that when he comes back and he's looking at that? You saw it, obviously.
Jeremy Renner, yeah.
When he comes back and there's that scene of him looking at all the different cereals.
Yeah.
Is that what he's dealing with? Like, I'm coming back and now I'm dealing with cereal after I'm dealing with like this massively intense
I think
death, and now I'm dealing with like Cocoa Puffs versus Fruity Pebbles.
I think basically that, for many people that could be an example or an homage to post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
But I think basically post-traumatic stress disorder has many manifestations, and it is a very serious thing. It is something that we need, and we've done a better job dealing with as a military, but it is hard to reintegrate. It's hard to reintegrate to your base when you've been out on a mission, much less back to stateside America.
Yeah, I mean, how do you change gears from, okay, I could die at any time, people around me are dying, and now I'm listening to Muzak picking what fruity cereal I'm going to get.
I think, what you have to do is create a sense of mission in your life and go forward with that. And so for me, it was starting a car company.
Yeah.
For other people, it's doing another business. For some people, it's giving back to families that have come back in the military. But figure out a mission in life, and then when you think, hey, I could be getting shot at, it's never as bad as that.
Yeah.
And so that can give you motivation.
Yeah. Awesome. Wow. This has been another amazing episode of This Week in Startups. I love when we can go on a little tangent like that. I mean, it's really interesting because it's how an entrepreneur ticks. I mean, you can tell you're, on a sense of mission, and the military guys just have so much to build off of. They really, I wish there was some sort of program where, because they have a hard time integrating, where they could actually integrate into entrepreneurship, because they make such great entrepreneurs because they understand mission and accomplishing tasks and getting something done. They have a sense of responsibility. Is there anything like that? Because I get so many who watch the show, but it feels like they don't have any. I mean, the show is a little bit of a vehicle, but there should be some vehicle in the military in terms of integration of being an entrepreneur.
It's not well known. There's a transition assistant management program where you as an entrepreneur or as a startup company could go hire from the military, and they run them at Navy bases, Army bases, Air Force bases. If you're an employer, go there.
Yeah.
We have at least 2 veterans that are working at Local Motors, and in the future we will have many, many, many more. Actually, no, I think we just hired another one, so now we have 3.
Sure.
And so the bottom line is go to these places because you have servicemen and women who have great ethic, great work, and they understand and can share so many great stories.
Yeah.
And I think the answer is go there because you will find people that would really be great for your startup.
Awesome. We got to get there too. Thank you to our sponsors, of course. Who is the sponsor today? At Trada, at GoToMeeting, and Doco, of course, for the contest. Congratulations to our contest. I hate my Doco, and congratulations to our second place. Mo is buying you an iPad. Speedbump.co. Thank you to Mo for buying that iPad. He's going to kill me. We'll see you next time.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.